Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to improve your credit score after we touched on what a credit score is the other day. So in our last video we took a look at what a credit score is, how it represents your credit worthiness overall, and kind of makes a decision when you apply for credit cards, loans or mortgages. As we found out, we want that score to be as high as possible, and so today we're going to look at some tips on how you can improve your credit score. So number one is going to be to make sure you're registered on the Electoral Roll. Now the Electoral Roll is what you sign up for when you turn 18 so that you can vote. Most people do this by themselves, but maybe you're unsure of the process, you haven't done it before obviously, and no one's really explained it to you. So you might not have done that. So if you haven't already done that, that's first thing you can do. You sign up for it on the gov.uk website. You just input your information and it's going to allow you to vote. I think the main bit of information they require from you is your address. Now if you don't want to vote for some bizarre reason, you don't have to. You can just throw away the polling cards when they turn up and not actually turn up for the vote, but being on there is kind of like a proof of address, which is what the credit referencing agencies like and is why it's going to boost your score. Number two is to make sure you pay all of your bills on time. Now this might seem like a pretty basic thing to do anyway, no one wants to fall behind on their bills, but seeing as a lot of your bills are actually reported to the credit referencing agencies, it's especially important in this aspect. The most common bills reported to the credit referencing agencies are your phone contract and some of your utility bills. If you start falling behind on these bills, then it's not going to look very good for you and no one's going to want to give you credit because they see you as a higher risk because you can't pay back on time. While it can sometimes be hard to budget and manage your money for paying these bills, top tip is just make sure you pay all of your bills first so that you're 100% that they're all paid off, and then you can spend the rest of your money as you choose in that month. Tip number three is to actually check your report for any errors. This doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes there are errors on your credit report. Maybe they've got your address wrong, or maybe they've got the wrong dates for when you had your account opened. Sometimes county court judgments or bankruptcy information can be put on there by mistake. And so obviously you're going to want to make sure you get these removed as soon as possible because they'll make you look high risk and lower your score down. Number four, kind of another obvious one, you're going to want to make sure you get a credit card as soon as possible. This is going to lengthen your credit history with all of the lenders and the reporters, so you're going to be seen as more stable in having credit. If you have your first credit card, you're not likely to be able to get some of the higher tier ones where you earn points and rewards. You typically start with a credit builder credit card, which is, as the name suggests, perfect for building your credit. The most typical and common one I've seen about is the Capital One credit card. A lot of people have these. Seems like it might be a bit of an easier one to get, so definitely consider applying for one of these as your first. Tip number five, now a lot of places mention this one, but it might not be so well known. It's your credit utilisation. Your credit utilisation rate is basically saying how much of the available credit you have that you're using. Say you've got a credit card with a limit of about $2,000 and you've got a constant balance of about $1,000 on there. You're going to have a credit utilisation rate of 50% because £1,000 is 50% of £2,000. It's just showing how much of the available credit you're using. So now a lot of places say 25% is where you should roughly keep it, but I would say the lower you can keep the rate, the better. Basically, you don't want to be seen as desperate for credit, so you're going to want to keep this nice and low, so that I don't think you're trying to scramble to get some credit immediately, which is another high risk factor. Now I'm going to move on to maybe some less well-known tips and tricks. And number six is that when you pay for your car insurance, I would recommend that you pay for it monthly instead of annually. Now I know that paying it annually just gets the payment done out of the way. You haven't got to think about the insurance again. But if you pay it monthly, this is another thing that is reported to the agencies and can actually help to boost your credit score. This is especially notable when you're younger because it's probably going to be the only kind of credit history you have, as you can start driving when you're 17 and you can only start getting credit cards when you're 18. So when you've just turned 18 and you want to get your first credit card, having your insurance reported to the agencies can really help to boost your score. Number seven is going to be to make sure that you get your rent reported to the credit referencing agencies. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to you if you own a house or you still live with your parents, so you can just skip over this bit and ignore it. If you do rent accommodation, then you're going to want to make sure that this rent is reported. This is because it's another thing that shows you're paying your monthly bill on time all of the time, which is a positive side when it comes to the credit lenders. If your property management service doesn't already do this, there are a couple of websites out there that can do it for you. One is called Property Ladder. They can report either to Experian or to Equifax every month. You can pay to get it reported to both. I wouldn't bother doing that. Just pick whichever one you prefer and they'll report your rent every month, which can give your score a big boost. Now, number 8 is going to be one that you might actually think harms your score, but I'm here to tell you that it absolutely will not. With your bank account, if you're over 18, make sure that you apply for an overdraft. Now, if you have an overdraft enabled on your account, it's going to be another form of credit that you're given by the bank. Now, this adds up to your total credit, which can help make sure your credit utilization rate is as low as possible. The more amount of credit you have available, and if you keep using the same amount, then obviously the rate and the percentage is going to drop. So even if you don't use your overdraft, just having the option to be able to use it is A, helpful in case you do need it, and B, is going to help boost your score through the credit utilization. And now, number 9, it's not really a tip to help improve it, it's more of a guide on what not to do. You might have seen all of these websites or these ads on Instagram which can help you to improve your credit score by paying a monthly fee, which is basically like a small loan which you're paying back. I would not recommend these. These are a bit pointless and you're kind of just paying this money for no reason. You can naturally improve your credit score, and while these companies do tell the truth and they can improve your credit score, they just seem like they're trying to get money out of you, which you don't really need to pay. Another thing which you may or may not have seen is Experian Boost, where you can link your bank account and it might give your score a boost based on your spending habits. Now, this is again not something you really need to do, and from the reports I've seen, people that do this only get their score boosted by a couple of points, so it's not really worth it. Basically, you're just allowing Experian to have a look at all your spending history, which they don't really need to have their eyes on. And there you have it, guys. That's how you can improve your credit score today. It might take a little while, maybe it's not an instant thing, but these are definitely some tips you can bear in mind to help make sure your score is as high as possible. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Remember to drop a like below, and I'll see you in the next video.